3.5, we're talking about zeros of a function. In chapter 2, we actually did talk about these very briefly. Okay, today we're going to get more into it. So if I write this up on the board, go ahead and write this on the front of your notes. F of x equals x squared plus 7x plus 10. And I told you to factor that.
You take 10, you write factors, and then you have to take the factors that equal 7.
Right, we want factors of 10. So two numbers that multiply to 10 that add up to 7. What are they? 1 and 10, 2 and 5.
5 and 2.
Right. These two get me to 7. Do I need to change them?
No.
No. How did I write my answer to that?
2 equals x, and then 5 x equals 5.
Close. There's one thing right before that. We write it as x plus 2 and x plus 5. Now, what if I told you to find the zeros of that?
It's just going to be the opposite.
Set it equal.
Set it equal to 0, and then what do we do with both of them separately?
Do the equation.
Do the equation. So, with this equal to 0, I take x plus 2, set it equal to 0, and I take x plus 5, set it equal to 0. So I took this set it equal to 0. I took this set it equal to 0. Now we just, it is the opposite. Now we just set them, or now we just solve both of them. This one I subtract 2, so I get x equals negative 2. This one I subtract 5, and I get x equals negative 5. How do we know how many zeros we should have? What's that called?
Because there's
What's that called?
only 2 degrees.
Degree, okay? That's the highest degree. Our highest degree, once we start factoring, that number tells us how many zeros we should have. Okay, do we have 2 zeros? Yes. Okay? So that was with basic factoring and solving for zeros. Okay? If you turn your paper and look at example 1, okay, it looks a little bit different. Okay? First, I want to look at this example real quick. We have a graph. This is not in your notes yet. We have a graph, and we have this equation right here. Is this equation factored?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's already factored for us, right? What if I told you to find the zeros of that function? What does that mean?
Equal to 0.
Set it equal to 0. So I have x times x minus 4
So you're trying to find the original?
times x plus 3 equals 0. No, we are not going back to the original equation. We're finding zeros. So what do I do with each of these 3 different parts? Set them equal to 0. So I have x equals 0. What do I have next?
X equals 4.
Right, or x minus 4 equals 0. What's next?
X plus 3 equals 0.
X plus 3 equals 0. Now I just solve both of them, or solve all of them separately. Can I do anything with this?
No.
Nope. What about that next one? Add 4. X equals 4. This one? Subtract 3. X equals negative 3. Okay. We talked about this. What points on the graph do these give us?
The x value.
It gave us the x-intercept. So how do I write x equals 0 as a coordinate?
Put it on the 0.
Right, 0, 0. How do I write x equals 4 as a coordinate?
4.
4, 0.
4, 0. How do I write negative 3?
Negative 3, 0.
Negative 3, 0. Graph those like they did in this picture right here. Those are our zeros of the function. Okay, that's what we're looking for. It's those x-intercept points on the graph that are our zeros.
So why do we have to do the math for? Why can't we just...
If it gives you a graph, use the graph. You don't have to do the math. Okay, the only reason I did the math was to show you the resemblance in them. Yep, but if you are ever given a graph, please don't do all that.
Just find the
Just look at them. Yep, and we'll talk about that in an example pretty soon. Okay, so I want to look at example 1 together. Okay, so we have f of x equals 4x cubed plus 4x squared minus 24x. In order to find zeros, we have to have it in factored form. Okay, is this in factored form yet?
No.
No. First step of factoring, do you remember what it is?
The C.
Before that.
Cry.
Before that. We want to find the greatest common factor. You always want to see if you can take something out first. Okay? Do those three terms have anything in common?
4.
Does everyone agree they have a 4 in common? What else do they have in common?
An X.
An X. Good. Now I'm going to take it out. I'm going to divide it out. Starting with this one, what's 4 divided by 4? 1. What's x cubed divided by x to the first?
X cubed.
Think 3 minus 1 is
Oh yeah, x squared.
x squared. There you go. Do the same thing. What's 4 divided by 4? 1. What's x squared divided by x?
X.
X. What's negative 24 divided by 4?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. X divided by x?
0x.
Nothing, right? Done. Are we fully factored yet?
No.
Why not? Right, can I go farther with this?
You have to factor that x.
Gotta factor it out.
6.
Yep, what are factors of negative 6?
1 and 6.
1 and 6,
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Okay, which one of those gets me to 1? 2 and 3. Can I keep them as 2 and 3, or do I need to change it?
Change it.
To what?
Negative 2.
Change it to a negative 2. Okay, how, do you agree I still have this 4x?
Yes.
Okay, how do I write this?
X minus 2.
Yep,
X plus 3.
good.
Minus 6. Or no.
Yep, remember we don't have the 6 anymore. Now are we in factored form?
Yes.
Yes. What if I told you to find the zeros?
Put them to 0.
Set them equal to 0. Good. So, tell me one of my equations.
X minus 2 equals 0.
You're right. I heard 4x. 4x equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. What's my other one?
X plus 3 equals 0.
X plus 3 equals 0. First of all, how many zeros should we have? Where'd you get 3 from?
The exponent.
The degree, right? Okay. How can I solve the first one? How do I get x by itself? Divide by 4. X equals, what's 0 divided by anything? 0. This one I add 2. X equals 2. This one I subtract 3. X equals negative 3. Okay, go graph those on that graph right there. Remember, what are these? How do you go graph these?
0 and then 2, 2, and then 2, 2.
Close. This one, yes, is 0, 0. This one, x equals 2. Y is 0, because it's our x-intercepts. Okay, and this one would be negative 3, 0. Go ahead and go graph those on your graph. Looking at example A. Is it already in factored form?
Yes.
It is, right? So, how do I find the solutions of this?
Equal to 0.
Yep, solutions mean set it equal to 0. So what do we do once we have it equal to 0?
You write the equation.
Yep, how many different equations are we going to have?
4. 3.
1, 2, 3. Yep, so we have x equals 0. What's my next one?
So how come there's no 3 for the degree on x?
Because it's already in factored form.
Oh.
This is not the degree right now. X minus 1. Don't forget we still have to the 4th power on that, equal to 0. What's my other one?
X plus 4.
Yep. That first one, can I solve, or is it done?
It's done.
It's done. I'm going to skip this middle one for now. How do I solve this one over here? Subtract 4. X equals negative 4. I'm going to ask you something real quick. If I had x squared equals 9, how would I solve that? How would I get rid of this?
Square root.
I would take the square root, right? Same thing for here. We have the 4th root. I'm going to take the 4th root of that. Right, because what if I take 0 to the 4th root of anything?
0.
It's 0, right? So here I have x minus 1 equals 0. Now do we know how to solve that?
Yes.
How?
Add 1.
Add 1, good. x equals 1. Are we done?
Yep.
Wait, so when you do that, it's pretty much you do absolutely nothing.
Correct.
You keep it simple.
Correct, because if you take the square root of 0, or the cube root of 0, or the 6th root of 0, you're going to get 0. Yep. Good. I want you to go try example B on 2. Example 2B. So the directions on this one just tell you to find the zeros. How do I find the zeros?
By setting them up to 0.
Set them up equal to 0. Okay, what can my first equation be? Yep. Next. X minus 1 to the 5th equals 0. And then, good. I'm going to skip this one for now. Let's solve these two first. What do I do with this?
Nothing, it's square root.
Right. Think of square rooting, okay? But square root of 0 is 0. How do I solve? Add 1. X equals 1. There's 1. What about the third one?
Square root of 2.
Same thing. X plus 2 equals
0.
0.
Subtract 2.
Subtract 2. X equals negative 2. Yeah?
Yep.
All right, how would I solve this one?
Take out 9 slices by itself.
How do I do that?
Minus 9.
Yep. Subtract 9. X squared equals
9.
negative 9.
Square root.
Square root. X equals,
3.
I heard 3. Is that right?
Yeah.
Can I take the square root of a negative number?
Oh. No.
So remember, way back, we split this up this way. What's the square root of 9? 3. What's the square root of negative 1? I. There we go.
So now we have I back.
How is this one different than these two?
There's an I.
There's an I. What kind of number is I?
1.
Right. Real or imaginary? Right. This one here is an imaginary solution. What do you think the other two are?
Real.
The other two are real solutions. Okay? So when you're looking at graphs, okay, for example, is there questions on this one before we move on? Okay, look at your example graph. This example on a graphing calculator, you would only be able to see these two solutions. You would not be able to see this one. Okay? Example 2, 3 for me. If we graph, okay, what is the degree on that polynomial?
3.
The degree is 3. Do you see 3
No.
solutions? How many do you see? Remember the solutions on your x-axis. How many solutions do you see here?
1.
You see 1, right? So we have 1 real solution. What are the other 2?
Fake.
What's the word?
Imaginary.
2 imaginary solutions. Okay? Go ahead and try B on your own. Tell me how many real solutions there are, how many imaginary solutions there are. First of all, we want to look at the degree because that tells us how many solutions we're going to have. How many solutions should we have on 3B?
3.
Look at the polynomial function. Okay, so right now my polynomial function is x to the 4th minus 3x squared minus 4. How many solutions should I have?
4.
Should have 4. Remember, it's whatever that highest degree is. Okay, so I should have 4 solutions. What does our picture show us?
2.
We have 2. What are those solutions called?
Real.
So we have 2 real solutions. So that leaves us with
2 imaginary.
2 imaginary. And again, those imaginary solutions, for example, that's your 3i, your complex numbers. Okay? So if I backed up Okay, what do you notice about this example here? Okay, the directions say it just wants to know the solution, so we know we're looking for what? The zeros, right? We're looking for those zero functions. Or solutions, sorry. What do you notice about this, though? Why is it not in standard form?
The like terms aren't put together.
Right.
It's not.
In order to find zeros, what do we have to have it equal to?
0.
We have to have it equal to 0. Do we have that right now?
No.
No. How do we get it equal to 0?
You gotta do some.
Right, we got to get all of this or all of this. We got to get it on the same side. Okay? I'm going to start with this right here. How can I move this to the other side? Subtract it. Yep, so let's do that. Subtract x cubed. Well, what happens? This side it cancels. What happens on the other side? It also cancels. So write what you have left. Okay, what should we move next?
7.
Yep, how do we move that? Add 7x to both sides. What am I adding it to on the other side? Right, you're combining like terms in a sense, okay? So you have 6 equals 5x squared. What's negative 2x plus 7x?
5x.
Right. Are we equal to 0 yet?
No.
No. Right, we got to move the 6. How do I move the 6? Subtract 6.
Negative 30.
Right, so I have 0 equals 5x squared plus 5x minus 30. Why did I put a 0 here? Right, because there's nothing left. How many of you don't like it this way? How many of you want 0 on the other side? Can we do that? Can we flip it? We can flip it, right? Just flip it. 5x squared plus 5x minus 30 equals 0. It's the same thing. What is our next step to finding the zeros? Yeah,
Factoring.
we got to factor. What is the first step of factoring always to make it easier on yourself?
Let's see.
Second step. GC.
Just
See if you can take something out. Can we take anything out of these 3 terms? What?
5.
Take out a 5. Can I take an x out?
No.
Why not?
30 doesn't have one.
30 doesn't have an x. Okay, so we're taking a 5 out of all of them. What does that mean? That means we're dividing 5 out of all of those terms. Okay, so what's going to be left on the inside?
X squared.
X squared plus x minus,
30. I mean 6.
oh, good catch. Negative 30 divided by 5. 6. Sometimes you do math all day and your brain's not working anymore. Okay, are we in factored form yet? Can we factor that farther?
Negative 6.
Right. What are factors of negative 6?
1 and 6.
1 and 6?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Which ones get us to 1?
2 and 3.
Do we need to change them?
Negative 2.
Good. How do I write that? Do you agree I still have the 5?
Yes.
Okay. How do I write it?
X minus 2. X plus 3.
X plus 3 equals,
0.
are we almost done?
Yes.
Yes. How do we find our zeros?
The opposite. Or like adding them up.
Right, you can think opposite. Okay. You set them all equal to 0. Okay. What do I do with this? What do I do with that?
Minus 5.
You could.
5.
Okay.
It's done.
What'd you say?
With the 5,
Yeah, this one.
it's done. You just box it.
Is that a solution?
Yeah.
Does 5 equal 0?
No.
No, that's not true, right? So this is not a solution. Does that make sense? Okay. 5 does not equal 0, so that cannot be a solution. Okay. What do I do on the second one?
Plus 0.
Add 2. X equals 2. Subtract 3. X equals negative 3. Done. This is your example 5B. Okay, it wants us to find all the solutions. What does that mean?
Find all.
To find what?
All of those.
Find all the solutions. What are the solutions? Starts with a Z.
Zero.
Zeros, right? Okay. So we need to get it set equal to 0. How do I do that?
Moving to one side.
How can I move this?
You just
Add it to both sides.
I'm going to add x cubed to both sides. When you're doing this, I highly recommend you keep your highest degree positive. Okay? Does x cubed have a like term on the left side?
No, so you just add it all
Right, where should I write it?
between 4 and 2.
Right, in standard form, yep. Okay, are we equal to 0 yet?
Nope.
Nope, what do I do next?
Add the 2x.
Add 2x. Does 2x have a like term?
no.
No, so where should it go?
Just on.
On the end, right? In standard form. Equals 0. Is that what we wanted?
Yep.
Yes. Now we got to factor. What's the first step of factoring?
GCF.
GCF. What can I take out?
2.
I can take an x out. Can I take a 2 out?
No.
Why not?
No.
Right. These don't have 2. Okay? So if I take an x out, what's left on the inside? If I took one x out of everything.
X.
X cubed
Yep.
plus x squared
Good.
plus
2x.
Good.
plus 2.
Good. Equals 0. Okay. Look on the inside here. Is this factored?
No.
Wait, how's it not?
How many terms do we have?
Oh, we have 4.
How do I factor 4 terms?
You just get rid of them.
Factor by
Grouping.
grouping. Okay? How do I factor by grouping?
Split them in half.
Focusing on this side. Yep, I'm splitting it in half. So I'm going to take the first 2 and the last 2. Okay. Do you agree I still have this x? Okay. What can I take out of this first group?
X.
Square.
X squared. What's left? X.
That's a lot of parentheses.
What's x squared divided by x squared?
X.
0.
There's no x's left, but what number is left?
1.
1. X plus 1. What can I take out of the second grouping?
2.
A 2. What should be left? X
Plus 1.
plus 1. How do you know if you did that right?
They're the same.
These two should match. Good. We still have it equal to
0.
0. We are almost done. Do you agree I still have this x?
Yeah.
Okay. How do I write my answer for this grouping part?
I'll put the remaining.
X plus 1.
X plus 1.
X squared plus 2.
Good. Where'd you get the x squared plus 2?
The leftover on the outside.
It was what's left over. Good. Equal to
0.
0. Holy moly, are we almost done? What's my last step here?
Nothing.
Making it equal to 0.
Right, now we just have to solve all of our separate equations. What's my first equation?
X equals 0.
X equals 0. Can I do anything with that? No, done. What's my next one?
X plus 1 equals 0.
X plus 1 equals 0. What can I do with that?
Minus 1.
Subtract 1.
X equals negative 1.
X equals negative 1. Good, done. What's my next one?
X squared plus 2.
Equals.
0.
0.
Okay, how do I solve this one?
Minus 2.
Subtract 2. X squared equals
Negative 2.
negative 2.
Square root.
Square root. Can we take the square root of a negative
X
number?
equals square root
Yep.
of 2 times square root of negative 1. So 2i. So 2i. Negative
What is the square root of 2? Is it even?
Nothing.
2. No.
There, it doesn't come out evenly, so remember we keep it, and then square root of negative 1 is I. Okay? Want to ask you something. How many real solutions do we have? We have 2 real solutions. How many imaginary solutions?
1. 1.
This one.
Oh, wait.
How many should we have?
4.
Should have 4. Where does the fourth one come in? When you take the square root of a number, how many solutions should you have?
2.
You should have 2, so this is your positive negative. That's where the fourth one comes in. Okay, so there's our two real solutions, and here's our two imaginary solutions.